Reality check. Nix's family, chapter 4, take 2. Todd paced back and forth, looking over at the staffs he had been given like a general viewing his troops. In addition to the library's original staff, there were now several historians, archivists, archaeologists for Caroline, each with a small retinue of assistants and student interns. Some of them were looking a little rumbled for the long train ride, and a few of those more senior researchers were looking more than a tad miffed at being put under the authority of Celestia's pet protege. Fly Sparkle was having none of it, though. Although I would think you would consider it an honor considering her position, but what do I know? Okay, we've all made our introductions. I think I'll do a quick sum up of what we're doing here, she said. The librarians and archivists of the Crystal Empire. Here, she respectfully nodded to the library staff, who returned to nod stiffly, have graciously given us access to some of their carefully preserved historical treasures. Among those are some of the rarest and most valuable artifacts in playing history, preserved pages of the journals of one of the founders of Equestria. One of the interns hiccupped in surprise. Apparently, professors hadn't filled in all their assistants on the details. Chancellor Levelhead, leader of the Earthplane tribe. There was a rude bark laughter. Yes, the one we call Chancellor Puddinghead in our Heartswarming place, Flight said, without looking to see who laughed. It appeared that the name was a deliberate misnomer by his enemies. That's just the first things we already learned from it. I expect to have a lot of your folklore upended. She stood and faced the crowd. Among other facts lost to history, it would seem that the Heartswarming spell was, in fact, an artifact. The fairy crystal heart that protects and powers the city. More whispers among the interns. Decidedly, a few sour looks from a couple of scholars. It seems there was another schism in Equestria after the events described in Heartswarming lore. Chancellor Leatherhead and a large portion of the Earthplane population split off from Equestria sometime shortly before Discorian reign and went on to found the Crystal Empire, taking the crystal heart they created with them. Several hosts then raced up to ask, I know, there are a lot of plot holes in there. Don't ask, let's move on. One of the interns, a rather scrawny young fellow in a lane-clean coat, rather like a young Mr. Kink in build, stood up as if, Miss Twilight, did you say that they created? But they were Earth Ponies, weren't they? Twilight nodded. Exactly. I have good reasons to believe that pre-modern Earthplane tribes had access to and were capable of using Earthplane magic as powerful and complex as the unicorns. Honestly, didn't these scholars tell their help anything? That is why Princess Celestia and Princess Luna, with the gracious permissions of Princess Miyamura Cadenza, have sent you here. According to the information in the journal, Levelhead collaborated with his grandson Smart Cookie, another ripple of surprise to the crowd. Private Fancy and Clover the Clever to research Earthplane magic, eventually create the heart. Apparently, Levelhead was an Earthplane mage of considerable power by the time he arrived there. And he kept an archive of his secrets. So why didn't he just tell them in oral? Look, I've already asked every single question of these plot holes before you all got here. None of this makes sense if you think about it for 5 seconds. Trust me. Slasher's quest was to be buried with all his books and work, to preserve them against some future time and need. Somewhere in the Crystal Empire, there is a lost tomb where Levelhead was laid to rest, and that the tomb contains the lost secrets of Earthplane magic. And we are going to find them. There's a muffled expletive. Oh, for the love of... Twilight turned around, and there was a pony scholar in a tweed jacket and a black bow tie standing in the front row. His strictly cut iron-gray beard contrasted heavily with steel blue coat. His key mark was a yellow triangle with a question mark in the middle. It was all but bristling with indignation. Are you telling me that we've been dragged away from the university, from our jobs in our lives, to spend a princess's bits on a wild goose chase, hunting down some nearly forgotten pony fable? Hello? Dink, dink, dink. Elements? Discord? There's a fanfic that took that way more seriously than this. I know, but I'm a reality check OC. I gotta say something that's utterly stupid in order to make you look good. I don't need that, thank you very much. Okay, it's Twilight turned to face him. Is there something you want to share, Mr. Dubious, Professor? I am dubious. PhD in folklore and mythology, oral folklore needs, enhancer 8. Unicorn said haughtily. I've been researching a great deal of Earthbone mythos for some time. Earthbone folklore is rife with old myths and tales about long-lost Earthbone magic. You know, Earthbones do have magic. Hey, look, if you're going to tell us to lay out the plot holes, then I need to lay out the plot holes too. So let's just keep this going before we get angry. Alright, fine. Let's ignore that Earth ponies do have magic. For the sake of argument, let's say that. Yes, please. You find them everywhere from fine Earth ponies. Half forgotten stories of Earth pony wizards and other such tales. And that doesn't tell you anything? Twilight asked dryly. He sniffed. It's evidently a wishful power fantasy. Oh, come on! Do I have to say the rest of this crap? Motivated by Earth pony inferiority complexes and envy of unicorn magic. Although, why would you be envious of unicorn magic if you could grow things and you're responsible for people living? I saw several of the airplanes in the room. Crystal and Nod stiffened at the subtle slur. Heck, he was even feeling her hackles grow up. Something told her Professor Dubious needed to be taken down a peg. A memory clicked. Wait, Dubious? Ignatius Medicate Dubious? One and the same. Twilight gave a cheery smile. Ah, I thought I recognized the name. I read some of your books and theses. As the high unicorn began to preen, she lowered the boom. You were the scholar who proposed that Nightmare Moon was, quote, nothing but consolidation of pre-modern era goblins and boogeymen, am I right? Dubious stared a bit, blustering. I should thank you for that. Twice expressed it with deadpan. It put me off on a rabbit trail for over a month when I was trying to forecast a return. I remember your book on the long debunked legend of the Spirit of Chaos. It was just a cautionary fable, a fabrication of society's need to suppress discordant behavior. Came out a week before he'd escaped. Dubious tried to puff up. Now, see here. What was one of your other titles? Folklore of the Changeling Race? Oh, yes. And Side Grain Boots, the persistent belief in scientific impossibilities? Oh, yes, you're quite a renowned author in circles I traveled. Why, they think you're one of the funniest writers alive. Then, why is he here? If every one of his journals has been debunked, then why is he here? Why is he hired? He's not good at his job. You don't need him here. Why? Why, Vic? Why? Was just a reality check wanting to bash a scientist for a bit? For your information, Professor Julius, I am a personal eyewitness to all those phenomena. I was the one who predicted Nightmare Moon's return. I was also the one who found the elements of harmony using those old mare's tales you provided yourself on having debunked. Discord, that cautionary fable, I can tell you everything about right down to its table manners. And as to the sonic grain boom, I can introduce you personally to the mare that did it 3 times thus far. You should know by now. I did my homework. The evidence for this wild goose chase is material, comprehensive, documented, filled with plot holes, and confirmed by independent research. As you should know, if you had bothered to read the exhaustive documentation I sent each of you, instead of handing it off to one of your long-suffering interns, then he should be here. He should be fired. Perhaps you'd be more renowned in scholastic circles if you spent time studying those old mare sales than you do sitting on your plot in your university office sneering at him. She spun about, tail but flicking him in the face, returning to pacing. Now, as I was saying, Spike managed to wriggle us back to the library, and back to Twilight Sparkle's side. He came tottering over the plinth he was leaning against, and banded a crimped tube in front of his Spike's collar. What's this? The red-faced unicorn demanded. Ointment, Spike said. Figured you needed it for that burn. Spike, Twilight said over his shoulder. Okay, I'm coming, jeez. He trotted after the mare, leaving Dubious staring. Honestly, Spike, well, you started it. As I was saying, Twilight Sparkle continued, a bit loudly, the search for the missing tomb naturally begins here, in the Imperial Library. As you surely know, the cells of this library, all on their own, represent a 1,000-year-old treasure trove of lost knowledge. The staff here are already in the midst of a massive restructure and reorganization. We will be inserting ourselves in the middle of it all, aiding in the work, and going through the archives of this institution, book by book, for any and all references to the founders of either Equestria or the Crystal Empire. The work of Levelhead, Smart Cookie, Private Pansy, and Glover the Clever, or Lost Tomb itself. Other than, a butter yellow Pegasus intern yelped. The party scattered looked around at seamlessly endless tower of shelves. Interns and flunkies with a bit more trepidation than their respective superiors. They knew who would be doing all the scut work. Twilight actually grinned and hopped on her hose. That's another thing I want to mention, she said. She gestured to 4 unicorn stallions standing to one side. One was light brown with brown mane and tail, with a red cutie mark and a beach ball. Next was a white with mane with a tan color straw, Jinx as a cutie mark. The third was red with a fiery red yellow mane and the cutie mark of a fox holding a globe. The fourth was teal, blue mane, and on its flank was a helpless symbol of blocks. These 4 gentle ponies are contributing a series of spells that, working together, will work to search, sort, and file all the books in this library, she said. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. And yes, they're all stallions. Of course. Mr. Googleplex has created a spell that will search any book, scroll, paper, or magazine for any occurrence of a word, series of words, or phrase. I wish this was the actual Aeronet ponies. It also searches for images, Google said. He coughed. It's not effective at that, so I recommend sticking to word searches. Mr. Foxfire, Twilight continued, gesturing to the flame-haired unicorn, has a spell that will make an illustrated copy of a book's page display for you to read. You could browse an entire book without opening or taking it off the shelves, Foxfire posted, or while somebody else is reading it. And like a Speedy, Strawberry Pony Way, as a enchantment that will automatically cross-reference the contents of any 2 books. So it's long series, sufficient mobility, he amended. Hey, where's their explorer? How do you know just sufficient mobility? Barker looked a little best. Sort of fine-tuning that, he confessed. And Diamond Frag. Defrag to my homies. Teal Blue said with a grin. It's kind of just smart and direct. And he has a spell that will probably resell all the books in the library, once they are properly labeled with the Doohoo decimal system. Twilight held a hoofful of stickers with runic symbols on them. His contribution is more indirect, but he has devised a spell that will probably reshelve all the books in the library, once they are properly labeled with the Doohoo decimal system. Twilight held up a hoofful of stickers with a runic symbol on it. Got tired of claiming stepbrothers to reshelve my boss's book collection, Defrag said. My talent is putting stuff, especially busting up stuff together, so I apply a little abstract thought to my talent and innovated. Now all I have to do is reassemble themselves in this mansion every night and hit the big red button. He held one box and suddenly a big red host-sized button on top. Go to bed. Spike's eyes went wide. You mean all you have to do is resell 15 the libraries to push that button? Defrag nodded. Spike flung himself across the room, wrapped his arms around the pony's leg. Looked down with merciful eyes. Don't take this wrong way, but I'm yours. Spike! A purple glove fell to Dragonling and yanked him away. Sorry, Twilight said to Defrag. He gets over exuberant when he thinks he's found a way to increase his nap time. Anyway, she went on, by correlating these 4 spells together, we'll be able to search the entire library for information relating to the location of the lost tomb of the founders. I've composed a star list of possible search phrases to pull up information we're seeking. Foxfire, Googleplex, and Worker Speedy will teach all the unicorns in their group their spells. For the Earth Ponies and Pegasi, these gentle ponies have managed to design a, what did you call it? Interface, Defrag said. Slack a control panel, but interface just sounds more jagged, you know? Right. Twilight cocked an eyebrow. Can't you do a demonstration? Can't do. The 4 unicorns set up a tabletop podium, laid with an oversized blank scroll and elaborate wooden rollers across the top. It had a chalkboard with an easel on one side of it, a crystal ball on the other. All 3 were quite ornate, and had gems and crystals inlaid with specific spots. The next version will be much more compact, and use floating illusions rather than solid props, Wicker said. But this version is fully functional. You know, folks, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to the day the mega spells will rock this world. He used himself to tap a rune carved into the podium, a circle partly bisected by a vertical line. The rune glowed with green light, and the scroll levitated up and unfurled, stretched between the 2 rollers. Now, to get that to 6. He looked around. Someplace he said something to look for. Bananas, Spike said. Twilight looked down with befuddlement. Spike shrugged. First word above my head. Marcus Speed shrugged. Picked up a piece of chalk and one of his magic wrote bananas on the chalkboard next to him. A thin green tendril of light shot up from the crystal ball, striking the ceiling and zigzagging through the stacks, splitting and branching all over again, sending out thinner and thinner lines that seemed to skitter across the stacks, shelves and carts full of books, while searching, twisting fingers. Some of the lines froze with specific books, outlining them in a faint glow. Others skidded onward. Immediately, the levitating scroll began to fill with dense writing. Across the top appeared a statement in bold black letters: 10,547 results for bananas. Several of the onlookers stepped closer, peering at the scroll. Below the legend was a list, in slightly smaller font. These are the results, Wigger Speed said. This is first by title, then author, content, and there are 15 books here with the word bananas in the title. Oh, let's try the third one. He tapped the bug tile written bold on his hoof. The scroll went blank, and rewrote itself on a tile page. Banana farming in the Galapagos Islands by summer winds. Okay, turn the page. We tapped this arrow. He punted the named arrow card to the putty on his hoof. The tile page rewrote itself in an opening paragraph. Go back, tap the other. But it's only to show the top half of the page, Spike pointed out. Oh, he just wrote the scroll, Springer said. He had twisting at the scroll on one of a nine on his hoof. Only paper up the top bar. Just scroll down. But you're rolling it up, Spike said. So you say scroll up? No, you're going down the page. So he's scrolling down. Otherwise, it's confusing. But it's going up. Scrolling down, Wiggerspeed said, glaring lightly. Fine, fine, Spike said, holding his classrooms around there. Scrolling down. He pointed to the crystal ball. So, what's that? Inside the ball could be the image of a book, slowly tumbling as a free fall. That lets you see if you're looking through, Foxfire said proudly. A little add-on I made. If you want to pull down the whole book, you just tap the glow twice. He reached past Wiggerspeed and tapped the top of the glow twice. No, wait, Wiggerspeed said. He never finished his sentence. The blink of an eye, one of the thousands of branching green lines overhead turned red. A hard-bite tongue came snipping back along his path. It struck Wiggerspeed in the face, knocking him clean off his stool and laying him out on the floor. Google Place looked at Cuck's archivist, then over at Foxfire. Told you overclocked it, he said with satisfaction. Twilight winced. Maybe you should disable that feature till you have the bugs worked out, she suggested, then turned back to the others. All right, then. Once we get every pony set up, we'll start searching. She tapped her chin thoughtfully. Archive trolling? Monty searching? Spell seeking? Spike looked up thoughtfully. How about web searching? He said, pointing out the glaring web of emerald lines traced across the library's crystalline ceiling. Twilight pulled a face. That would never catch on, Spike. She shook her head. Ahem. We'll start searching for any volumes with information on the lost tomb. Meanwhile, I want to show the archaeologists in our group the hidden chamber with the... Eek! She stepped to mid-straight, barely matching her nose to the camera lens. Roller wheel, what are you doing? It was the roller wheel. It somehow produced a clunky, super camera was roaming around. I glued to the viewpiece. A feminist? He said plainly. There was some sort of shipping mistake or something. He dumped this crazy stuff on me to get rid of. Like a minute of these 15-minute reels of black film and... Muller, will you please get that camera out of here? This is important historical project. We don't have time for... This is it, Miss Twilight, Roller protested. He stopped the camera and lowered it. His eyes were actually shining. In fact, all of it was shining. I was surprised Twilight had never seen crystal ponies called Sparkle. Biggest thing ever to happen to us crystal ponies. It's like our legends and past coming to life. It's right in front of us. He stepped back and waved his forehead expansively. His smile was so wide it had to hurt, and his eyes had stars in him. This deserves to be on film. This is our history. Honey Sparkle regarded him. Her head tilted to one side. A smile slowly spread on her face. She turned to address a room full of ponies, probably bursting out, getting ready to set her hub to work. Listen, every pony. This is one other thing I forgot to announce. Voice writing about the noise. This is Roller Wheel. He works in the audiovisual department. He'll be recording everything on film for the documentary and historical purposes. Just let him tag along, answer questions. He'll do his best to stay out of your way. Roller blinked his surprise and grinned with glee. Only if you guys obnoxious, just pop on my head. You know it's faster than that way. Hey!